Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the three hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hi, this is HP from Noise Junkies.
And this is Father Malone from Dark Destinations.
Please join us as we examine one of the greatest sitcoms in television history, Taxi, on Night Mr. Walters, a Taxi podcast.
Good night, Mr. Walters. Weird Way Media.
We deal in paint, pigment, light and shadow, realism, surrealism, impressionism, and ghost stories.
An interest in the oddball, a predilection toward the bizarre. And this place is nothing if it isn't bizarre.
There's no admission, no requirement of membership, only a strong and abiding belief in the dark at the top of the stairs, or things that go bump in the night. The name of this place, should you have come in here accidentally out of the ring, is the Night Gallery.
Welcome back, art lovers, to Midnight Viewing, the Night Gallery podcast, where we discuss Night Gallery, the Rod Serling's follow-up to The Twilight Zone. I'm Father Malone, and with me here in the gallery are the projection booth's Mike White.
I got a hunger for sin.
Also joining us is the Culture Cast's Chris Stachiw.
I'm just a robot looking for love.
My God, we got both segments covered. This is Season 2, Episode 21, which aired on February the 23rd, 1972. The episode is split into two segments, The Sins of the Father, and You Can't Get Help Like That Anymore.
Now this one here, unabashed and unashamed, I submit to you as a dandy. It delves into an ancient funeral rite having to do with a personage called a sin eater. One who attends a wake and partakes of the funeral food, and in the process digests all the transgressions of the deceased, so that he departs the earth a much cleaner and sweeter little item, proving that we've become a bit more sophisticated in our tribal rites, but we are much the poorer for our 20th century chromium intellect. You might agree with me after you've seen Sins of the Fathers.
The Sins of the Father were written by Halstead Wells from a short story by Christiana Brand and directed by Jeannot Zwark, or Jean Zwark. He's Jean Zwark now. It stars Geraldine Page, Richard Thomas, Michael Dunn Alexander. You Star Trek people will recognize him from Plato's Stepchildren. He was also in You're a Big Boy Now, the Coppola's first film, but I will always know him as Dr. Miguelito Loveless for so many seasons. He was James West's central antagonist on The Wild Wild West. Rounding out this massive cast are Alan Napier, Cyril De Levante, John Barclay, and Barbara fucking Steele. This tale, it tells one of my absolute favorite old world rituals. This is a Welsh tale. We had in our last episode, we had a Welsh tale. This one is also from Wales. And the myth is the Sin Eater. which we'll see it play out dramatically here. But the actual tradition was there would be an outcast in a village, and he would be given a feast every time somebody died, so that he would take on their sins of the deceased, and the deceased would go to heaven. And he'd be given the feast no matter how much food that village had. If there was a famine there, it didn't matter. Every morsel needed to go to the sin eater. He always was eating like royalty. The downside, of course, was he was going to burn in hell for eating all of those sins. Now, I heard about this tradition long before I saw this, and it's always fascinated me. And recently I was talking to a friend of mine named Jasmine, who is Welsh and lives in Wales. I asked her about this tradition, and she had no fucking idea what I was talking about. Anyway, this is the tale of a sin eater, or the son of a sin eater. Richard Thomas is prodded into a sin-eating con game where he's to spirit away all the food from the corpse and thus sidestep the whole damnation thing and feed his family. Which actually sounds like a pretty good idea, except it's a double cross. Chris, what'd you think of this one?
You forgot to mention the most important sin-eating piece of media, the 2003 classic, The Order, starring Heath Ledger as a sin eater investigating sin eating in the Vatican.
Wow.
Actually not bad. Not a bad movie. But I digress. I'm with you. I like the whole sin eating angle, which is why I mentioned The Order. If anyone else is interested in seeing something not this old world, like that's the thing I appreciate about this, is that it is an old world tale that feels proper, disgusting and grimy and weird. I think, again, I go back to the well of the things that I've said before, the well of brevity here. They just don't want to tell 3 stories anymore. They just want to tell 2. And I can see in these episode segments where they just needed to chill out and maybe take your story through 2 or 3 more passes, because there's just too much going on here again. And I don't think all the pieces that are moving around, the main moving pieces, needed to be there to get the main moving pieces story told in an interesting way.
How about you?
What about you, Mike?
I prefer the Sin Eater enemy of, I believe he was the enemy of both Ghost Rider and Spider-Man, but I mostly remember him from Spider-Man comics. So that was my familiarity with sin eating. I love Michael Dunn. He was great in this. Richard Thomas, wow, what a performance. Pretty screamy throughout this whole thing. I was so confused at parts because they were talking about eating the food out of the guy's chest, right? They said that like 2 or 3 times, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no food on the chest. It's just around. It's just a bunch of plates around. I didn't get that. Whatever.
Yeah, and even further, the way they kept saying it, I thought they had hollowed out his chest.
Right.
Put the food inside it. And then when it wasn't that, I thought if it's on his chest and he has to take it all off of it, that would be something. But you're right. It's just ringed around the body.
Very nice plates. I mean, the presentation could have been better. I don't know about the taste myself, but yeah, definitely the plating needed some work.
I tried to find out what else was filming on the Universal lot around this time, because in this episode and the previous episode as well, they're clearly using an amazing set. The old world set. That's an interior set, interior for exterior. It looks fantastic. It looks better here than it looked in the previous episode, where it was directed very clumsily. But Jano Swark makes this one look great. I love Barbara Steele. Always glad to see her. Wish she was in the episode more. Quite frankly, she's got like maybe 2 lines in the whole thing. The mom in it, Geraldine Page, this is her very recent return here. She was in a previous episode, Stop Killing Me, here on Night Gallery, and I thought she was really good here. Speaking to what you were saying, Mike, I can't tell if Richard Thomas is good or bad here. It's a thankless role, this like mewling, petulant child. So he's nailing that part of it. Is it good though? I don't know. Also, I don't need to see his saliva. Does anyone need to see Richard Thomas's saliva?
A lot of saliva, yeah.
The tongue just lolling around in that mouth. Ugh, God almighty.
It did portray hunger very well, but...
I believed he was hungry, but he made me completely disgusted.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that he needed to ride that horse all 12 miles and have poor little Michael Dunn, who looks like every step he takes hurts him. I mean, it was painful to watch Michael Dunn walk, because he's got the dwarf legs and it's just not very easy for him to do that. And I was like, no, let this guy ride on the horse with you. He doesn't need to walk 12 miles with you over hill and dale and through this mountainous, treacherous pass. Just give the guy a lift, man.
John Boy doesn't share no horse.
No, that's true.
That negotiation occurred when we were talking about her ailing husband. It made sense that he was probably going to be sprawled out on the horse. So I agree. I kept wondering why he wouldn't just reach down and go, come on, let's go. Just so he can get there quicker. Like, what? Slowly cantering beside this dwarf? Like, it's a bit cruel.
It is. It is. The makeup on both of the corpses, spoilers, looked pretty good. But yeah, I saw that twist coming a mile away. So I was just like, okay, yeah, why aren't you eating the food? Why are you saying I won't eat a morsel? Why are you saying that your son will eat all of this food? Because there's another sin eater, and now you have to eat the sins of the sin eater.
I like that twist, though, honestly.
It's a good twist, but it's
Who eats the sins of the sin eater is a good question, right?
It was just a little telegraphed.
Yeah, but it posed an interesting solution to the sin-eating lifestyle. You just have to have a relative that'll eat yours, and then you got to keep that thing going, right?
And someday you'll have a son. I love when she says that.
Horrible. I did wonder a little bit, how long has he been living there with them, this Richard Thomas's character, and have no interest in the family business? Like, he doesn't know the words. He doesn't know anything about it. Like, how can you not? It's all they do. Should be the first thing they taught you was that prayer you're supposed to scream out when you're about to eat the sin.
You would think, right? You just pick it up.
Just by osmosis, right?
Right. Yeah, I agree with you that Geraldine Page was very fun in this. She, with that head thing around her head, I was just like, she looked very much like a tale from Canterbury Tales or something, like from the story, from the artwork, I should say. Yeah, I thought she gave a great performance as well. And I agree with you that I wish there had been a lot more Barbara Steele, because it was just like a tease at the beginning and the end.
Once again, the end with Geraldine Page, where she has effectively tricked her son into eternal damnation, all the while assuring him of all these different ways that she will prevent him from being damned. I just loved it. I thought it was so good that she did it to him.
And you know what? Yes, it is 29 minutes, but I think even if it went a little long, as weird as Richard Thomas's performance is, I think it's an interesting performance, even if it is just overdoing. He's overacting. I feel like he's
slavering.
Yeah, and a lot of just like big decisions. But I like it in this because it feels a little different than all these other episode segments we've seen in the old world, where there's not like one kind of big performance. He's just going for it, which I appreciate. It is a completely thankless role for someone having to just lick their tongue constantly for a half an hour.
And a thankless role for us having to watch it.
Offered to you now an item having to do with labor and management. An employment office, where is offered a collection of potential employees whose skills are unique. For in addition to their loyalty, industriousness, punctuality, and impeccable cleanliness, they also run at least 100,000 miles without a lube and an oil change. It's no wonder we call this one, You Can't Get Help Like That Anymore.
You Can't Get Help Like That Anymore. It was written by Rod Serling, no surprise, and directed by Jeff Corey, also somehow no surprise. This one stars Cloris Leachman, Broderick Crawford, 10-4, 10-4. Give me some black and whites. And Lana Wood and Mr. Severn Darden. This is the tale of robotic domestics and the scorn and brutality they've inherited from human domestics. Now, I've been attempting to shed a spotlight on some of Night Gallery's talent here this season. In this case, it's in front of the camera, not just sound. He actually appears. This is his only appearance and my only opportunity to talk about Mr. Severn Darden for a moment. Now, every working, flexible, and funny comedic actor working today has probably had some improv training, whether that be to the Groundlings or Second City or UCB or any dozen improv schools. All of those schools, all of those students can trace their lineage back to the Compass Players from the University of Chicago from 1955. That was created by Paul Sills and David Shepard. Some of their original members were Mike Nichols, Elaine May, Shelley Berman, Barbara Harris, Del Close, Ed Asner, Ron Liebman, and yes, Severn Darden. Paul Sills went off to found Second City, and when he did so, Severin Darden went with him, making him a founding member of that organization. He was a frequent television guest star, my favorite being Monkey versus Machine on the first season of The Monkees. But he was in Barney Miller. He was in the greatest $6 million man episodes of all time, the ones with Bigfoot. He had a few notable film appearances, The President's Analyst, Vanishing Point. He was in a couple of Planet of the Apes movies. And of course, he was the befuddled Dr. Meredith in Real Genius. Always check their references. He has 2 recordings that you can track down, and if you can, I encourage you to do so. They were the Metaphysics Lecture and Football Comes to the University of Chicago. Those are both recorded in the early 1960s. They are hilarious. Anyway, back to the episode. Chris, what'd you think of this one?
I enjoyed it. It's Mike just recently had me on the projection booth to talk about Blade Runner 2049, which talks about humans and robots and androids and interacting with each other. And this is what reality would be if these kinds of things existed. Horrible people treating them horribly because horrible people treat people horribly. So there's no reason to think they wouldn't treat their robots horribly. They're robot kind of house servants. But boy, Cloris Leachman just fucking goes for it. And I am here for it. She is proper terrible in this episode, and I loved it. I loved her character and her husband, and I liked the twist, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get to it, but Broderick Crawford and Cloris Leachman carries the episode segment. She is fantastic and a force when she's on screen.
I thought that twist at the end was a bridge too far. I don't understand it. Like, what actually happened?
The robots took over.
So is Broderick Crawford and Phyllis Diller, from Phyllis, Cloris Leachman, are they now robots? Were they robots the whole time?
Unclear.
Okay. It kind of reminds me of that TV show Humans, which I think was from Scandinavia at first, and that was very much about Sweden, sorry. That was very much about the way that humans would treat robots if they were to show up and be our servants and stuff. And it's always an interesting question. But yeah, I thought it was interesting when Severin Darden was talking about how these robots are now starting to feel and they're going past their programming. I thought it kind of should have stopped there. Sure, go ahead, show Cloris Leachman, show Broderick Crawford about to be mean to this new servant that they have because they just totally destroyed the last one. The shot of the hand without the fingers was really upsetting to me for some reason. And just the big massive wires coming out of the head that we don't really see the face of. I thought that was disturbing as well. But overall, I was like, okay, yeah, this is good. But then when they went past that hump and then we had the children's zoo, right?
Exactly.
We had the Broderick Crawford with those big shears and stuff. I was just like, what is happening here? Wait, Severin Darden is a robot as well? He wasn't just the guy that made the robots, but he was a robot making robots?
Jeffrey Wright was a robot all along, Mike.
The whole time.
That's how that made me feel at the end of the episode segment. I was like, I just don't, whatever the point is, if it's what you're saying and they're robots now, how, what, okay. And then the other thing is, are they now just making robots in the image of people that they killed? And now they're just like, these people are subjugated now. I just don't get it. Like, it's, again, it doesn't really hurt the episode because Cloris Leachman's so much fun and so just enjoying herself at being a miserable human being that you are there for that kind of performance. But yeah, the way that they treated that robot, my God, it's the painting. The painting is fantastic for this one.
Oh yeah, I really like the painting.
I think it does hurt the episode, the ending of this episode, honestly, because Serling wanted to tack a twist onto it for no good reason or give us a comeuppance that he thought was commensurate with the crime. But all it did was make the viewer go, what the fuck? Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so are these humans now robots? Or are they actually still human and they keep them like frozen until they beckon them out? What's going on in the outside world here? Is there a new regime? Have robots taken over the whole planet? I don't know. It's a lot to process in what is just a slight tale of awfulness of rich white people.
And look, like to mention again, Blade Runner 2049, there's a scene in that movie where one of the robots comes and hits ostensibly a human in the neck and severs that character's neck immediately. Like, the robots are a threat because they're made out of metal and they can swing really fast and fucking kill you. I don't know why there needs to be more than just they're dead. Like, the robot took its hand, went like this with it, and cleaved your head in two. Like, that to me seemed like, I know that they couldn't show it here, but the stakes are, these are robots, and if they don't like what you're doing, they will turn on you. Like, why is that not scary enough?
That is, we don't need to see the end of the robot revolution. Like, throw up a title card at least to let us know that this is now 2 years later or something. Right. Like, it's really jarring.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Creation of the Humanoids. Have you guys ever seen that one, the old sci-fi film?
No.
Okay. You of all people, Father Malone, I think would enjoy it a lot. I think Chris, you would like it as well, but of all people, Father Malone, I think you would really like it. It's basically, the robots in that are not very humanoid. They have this silvery skin and stuff, but it's very much probably what Serling was going for, as far as robots are great, but I wouldn't want one to sleep with my sister kind of thing. And it's this woman who is in Congress with her robot servant and treats him like a person. And it's very much like the people that are anti-clicker, as they call the robots clickers. They all wear like the kepi caps, like the Southerners.
Like the French Foreign Legion?
No, like the Southerners from the Civil War. Sorry, the War of Northern Aggression. So it's very, it's subtle-ish. You're definitely picking up, robots are second-class citizens and they're being treated unfairly and they're being mocked and stuff just because they're robots, which is exactly what Serling is trying to go for, but doesn't really get there.
Remember that?
Good robots on both sides.
Remember the Futurama episode with Don't Have Sex with Robots?
No, I don't.
Johnny, you going to go to school today? No, I'm going to make out with my Munrobot.
Look, that's the reality that like something like Black Mirror would tackle. But it's like, if you had a robot that you could live with you in your house, like, there are some people that would be like, where'd Dave go? Dave's fucking his robot, like, forever.
It's like that Surrogates movie with Bruce Willis, which I think a lot of people shit on, but I actually kind of like it a lot.
I never saw it.
Same.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like everybody has their robot avatar that can go out into the world. And so people just kind of stay at home plugged in. It is very Black Mirror. They stay at home plugged in and they just live life through their robots, and the robots can do whatever you want. And so, there's a lot of, it's basically, hey, I'm having sex as this robot. And of course, are there men operating women robots? Yeah, of course. It's just like the internet.
I'm down with that. That sounds interesting.
It is. It's a pretty good movie and very good comic book. It's probably a better comic book than it is a movie.
And I know we've talked privately about Westworld, but like, Westworld tackles similar questions in the first two seasons of what this show segment is going for, and so does Blade Runner. Like, it's I don't know. Like, I just wish this
Matrix as well. The Matrix.
Yeah. I wish this kind of went further in the right way, because like, it went far, it just didn't go in a sustainable direction that makes sense, because they don't clarify. And normally it's like, clarification isn't needed. Clarification sometimes gets in the way of my enjoyment of things. But here it's like, what you did almost makes no sense. Like, I have a hard time really understanding what the ending of this segment is. And I think you're right, Father Malone. It does hurt it. Like, I'm sitting here talking about it. It is so kind of incongruous with the rest of the episode segment. I kind of just, like, Rod Serling just lost it there at the end. He's like, never mind.
It's such a simple story without that ending.
Right.
Know? And it would have worked like gangbusters. We all enjoyed it.
Kind of makes me want to see the original episode or read the original story if it's based on a story.
No, this is a Rod Serling original.
Whoa. Okay.
He chose to make that ending.
He wanted that ending. He needed that twist. He's like a junkie. He's got to have his twist fix.
Okay. So the options are, those people are now turned into robots, or
that's what I was saying. Like, there's no explanation.
Or they're like, they look like them, or it's like I like the idea that like the robots rip their skin off
and like preserved it and then put it on another robot. And they're like, this is some robot that we're subjugating now that looks like these idiots that we killed.
No, but would they subjugate other robots like that? Probably not.
Right. Well, there's that torture droid in Return of the Jedi that's putting like the hot stuff on the bottom of the little power droid's feet, you know?
Yeah, but he was a bad dude, that one. We're talking about
that robot was very bad. I don't know why they built nerve endings into droids' feet, though, is what I'm trying to say.
Mike White asking the questions that need answers.
I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking.
Yeah, right. Good robots on both sides, eh?
Mm-hmm.
God.
I mean, were they self-hating robots? Did they not know that they were robots? That Broderick Crawford and Claire, Jesus Christ, I'm having the worst time with her name tonight. Cloris Leachman, were they robots the entire time? And they're just like, oh, hey, we are people and we're going to torture this robot.
Maybe this is an after hours situation like the mannequins. You get to go out and be the rich humans for a little while and beat on robots, and then you become them.
Right.
What if it's like that cells within cells? What if that's what it is? Like the thing in Westworld where it's like we locked him in a room and we're running him through the paces to see if they work. What if that's what it is? And because they're beating up on that robot, then they're put back in as like a gardener with a giant shears, because that's somehow more safe.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Now we're giving them weapons? Great. I guess they can't. At least they can't shoot anybody. You know.
Right.
They could just spin really quickly at the hip with their arms out and just decapitate people at will, though. So again, robots on their own are scary because metal moving at a fast speed is a horrifying thought.
Yes. It's like a drill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we're going to play a preview for the next episode. We'll be right back to wrap things up.
There are horror stories and horror stories, elements of terror that take myriad forms. But this item has a built-in terror which can refrigerate even the most dispassionate amongst us. It has to do with a little beastie known as an earwig. A small bug that crawls into the human ear. And while inside, it doesn't whisper sweet nothings. It performs quite another function. Offered to you now on Night Gallery. A brand new nightmare which we call the Caterpillar. Our next painting on Night Gallery tells the story of an illusion. An invisible specter which guides and motivates and drives. And though you will never see her, this childish wraith, you'll know she's there. And we venture to suggest that you'll be chilled by the knowledge. Our painting is called Little Girl Lost.
That's right. At the next midnight viewing, we're taking a look at season 2, episode 22. That's broken into 2 segments, The Caterpillar and Little Girl Lost. Midnight Viewing, the Night Gallery podcast, is a proud member of Weirding Way Media Group. Our theme song was composed by HP. Until next time, what are you working on, Mike White?
I am working on, actually this week, I'm doing a lot of work. We're working on episodes of The Life and Times of Captain Barney Miller, as well as The Shabby Detective, yet another podcast about Columbo. So yeah, that's what I'm working on, as well as the usual stuff like The Projection Booth, which is available at projectionboothpodcast.com or weirdingwaymedia.com.
How about you, Chris?
Culturecast, Scary Stories We Tell. Those are places you can find me kicking around weekly. Bollywood Cinema Club, all places that I can be found, and they can all be found at weirdingwaymedia.com.
As for me, you can also find my shows, Dark Destinations and Noise Junkies, over at weirdingwaymedia.com. If you want to check out any of my visual nonsense, go over to fathermalone.com. Thank you all for joining us here at Midnight Viewing. The gallery is now closed.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies, we love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.